All right, what's up, guys? We're going to be talking about Israel Adesanya potentially retiring after having 3 more matches. Obviously, he's going to have that match against Dricus, and that's going to be, UFC 305, 6, something like that. I forget which UFC it will be, but it will be, I think it's 303? No. I thought 304 was originally going to be the one that they were on, and that one was going to be in, Australia, and then I think 304 now is the one in Manchester, but I may just be mistaken. But he will be fighting Dricus, and then it's rumored that he'll be fighting Hazan Machev, or however you say his name. Hazan Machev, I forget his name. These Russian names, man, are so hard to say sometimes, and I hear a lot of people pronounce it differently. But he will be the second fight, and then the last fight he wants to have is against Sean Strickland. He wants to avenge that loss that he has. Obviously, Strickland is kind of like the kryptonite to Israel Adesanya. So is Alex Pereira in a way. I mean, Israel Adesanya kind of did knock Pereira out in like that second round or whatever, but then it was counted not as a knockout. He got back up, and then they went to the next round, and then eventually Pereira won that fight. So he technically did lose that fight, but it was a really close one and a really respectable loss that Israel Adesanya has on his record, especially when you talk about Pereira now being, winning 2 belts now, and then he could potentially, be going up and fighting a guy like Tom Aspinall, and eventually to, get the heavyweight belt, and he'd be the first ever guy to get 3 belts, which would be honestly insane. But this is kind of sad for the sport. I mean, Israel Adesanya has been a really good fighter for a long time. And just to commemorate it, I wanted to go over some of his most famous dog tweets, starting off with number 1. If this dog could speak, the things he could do, he could snitch about me, but he won't because he's my best friend. Obviously referring to do inappropriate stuff with his dogs. On the second tweet we have, I'm a dog. Woof. Obviously, a little bit of an obsession with dogs. This one had 32 likes before getting deleted after like an hour or whatever. Or these may be some old tweets. I'm not sure. They're from like 2023, or this one's from 2023. The third tweet. Lucky you, this champ will actually respond to you. Clap. I was 22. I flicked my dog's soft willy while patting his belly, and I thought it was funny. I've ignored this because that was my dog. He in heaven now. Sean bringing up my dead homie like that. He gonna get John Wick for that. Oh, yeah, I remember that Sean Strickland beef with him. That was so funny. And now for the fourth tweet, we have a picture of him with a werewolf. He said, I effed a werewolf, and I liked it, obviously referring to the chick one. I forget what song that is. And then we got this fifth tweet. Fresh dog blank. Yeah, I wish I could use one of these. That's crazy. Ridiculously handsome dog. He has some creepy obsession with dogs. On the next one we have, in this game you must assess your dominance as an alpha male dog, plus 100, player 1. And then we got him doing raw dogging on, I think that may be Sean Strickland. I can't really tell, but it could be. It was a tweet from 2020, so it definitely was not Sean Strickland. And then we got this next tweet. We have a dog sitting in a seat with a guy looking, and then he commented, be a shame if someone jacked. Oh gosh, ha ha ha, I joke. Insane tweets we got. We have one of like a Twitter reel or something. He says, y'all gremlins missed this one. I made a blank cum and it's a dog. Okay, this man really has an obsession with dogs. We have a Izzy. I was following a dog human fetish. Oh, what the heck? And he is following this account called Jenna Puppy Girl Jenna. I'm a puppy, only paws, which is like a only, you know what I mean? An OF for dogs. And he was following this account where they post a lot of weird stuff about dogs, doing stuff to them like they're human beings and they have a relationship, if you know what I mean. So I'll put all those tweets up right there for you, but this is honestly one of the greatest threads I've ever seen and came across on Twitter, and I just wanted to share them all with you. Obviously, Israel Adesanya is kind of crazy when it comes to dogs, and he's even got some interviews talking about it. I'm not going to really show them, but man, imagine Israel Adesanya retiring. I mean, this guy is actually very insanely likable, but then he's also very, interesting when it comes to everything he kind of does on and off the octagon, because man, this man can fight like crazy, And the only way I see him not fighting these 3 fights is if he loses one of them. I don't think he'll care if he loses to Hazan because, yeah, I don't really think he'll care because that guy's probably going to dominate the division for a long time. He's one of those guys who's just going to come up like Michael Venom Pages for the welterweights. He'll probably be the champ in that pretty soon, or Jack Del Montaleno will. There's a lot of guys, are coming up right now and will be, they're young prospects, like Bo Nickel's a young prospect. He'll eventually, be running his division, and a lot of these guys are really good. But Israel Adesanya's time is coming to an end. This guy's like 35, right? Or 34, 35. He'll be like 35 next year, I believe. And it's time for him to, leave like on top of his game. Obviously, this guy's made a lot of money. I only see him, maybe this guy does like a celebrity boxing match against someone. That'd be kind of cool to see. Obviously, he'd probably get rocked because he's more of a, really good at the leg kicks. Not the greatest striker in the world, but he is pretty good at striking, just an underrated striker when it comes to it. But this would be, honestly, very sad to see a guy like this leave. I know he's made a big impact on the UFC, especially when he stood with Joe Rogan. If you remember that, when Joe Rogan quoted a quote and he said the one unspeakable word that you're not supposed to say if you're white, and, the UFC stood by him, even though there's a lot of people trying to push him out, and, Dana White stood by him. Israel Adesanya made a whole speech about it and said that, Joe Rogan's one of the greatest men he's ever met and been around, and he's a really good friend with Joe Rogan, and you really like to see guys like that in the sport because at the end of the day, UFC is better than a lot of sports because they don't care about any of that, liberal stuff that people just get annoyed of, because that's really plagued the NBA when you look at it. NBA viewership goes down basically every year. Playoffs don't get any coverage as much as, like the NFL draft. For example, today I'm recording this on April 24th. The draft is tomorrow, the 25th. The draft gets more viewership than the entire NBA Finals, just the first night. Like, this is the thing about sports, man. Like, NBA is falling off. NFL, the only reason it's kind of going is because you have guys like, no offense, but you have guys like Tom Brady, doing that. And then you have Taylor Swift bringing in her whole fan base. I mean, NBA don't got this going on. And the UFC's the next up. Just wait. I mean, you got guys like Mark Zuckerberg who are really good in this sport. You have guys like, Theo Vaughn, the Nelk Boys, who people hate a lot nowadays, but still, they have a huge influence. And then you talk about Joe Rogan having maybe the biggest influence of influences in the United States when it comes to just being a content creator, podcast host. That's why the UFC, I believe, is going to grow a lot. And you have presidents like Donald Trump really liking it. And hopefully I don't get, my video doesn't get taken off recommended for saying his name, because I know that happens sometimes. And then we also have guys like, what is his name? He's like the guy who played Morbius. Not Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal does watch it, I believe, though, because Conor McGregor. But what I'm trying to say, UFC's on the come up still. It's getting bigger by the year, and it's going to get much bigger than boxing at some point. These boxers or these MMA fighters are going to be making so much more money. And honestly, it really makes me excited for the UFC and what's to come. So make sure to like, follow, and share. Let me know what you think of Israel Adesanya potentially retiring after his next 3 matches or fights or whatever you want to call them, because that would probably be, next year could be his last year in the sport. And honestly, he's one of the most popular fighters in the sport. I'd say like top 10 for sure. And yeah, let me know. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.